I'm super thankful, Tyrell, and thank you for letting me get up in front. I am in proxy for candidates who cannot be here doing work up at the legislature. There's Senator Harold Pope, who is running for lieutenant governor. These are really candidates who are fighting for working families, have helped to write and pass legislation for paid family leave, raising the minimum wage, and affordable health care for all option. Harold Pope is an amazing champion, and would love your support to get him on the ballot. The other one, you're going to hear from some land commission candidates next week, but you will unfortunately not be hearing, and hopefully I heard from others, maybe he already attended one of these meetings. Matthew McQueen is a state representative. He's been in the House of Representatives now for 11 years. He's the chair of the Natural Resources Committee, and he's running for land commissioner, backed by the current land commissioner, Stephanie Garcia Richards, supports Matthew. She is term limited and will no longer be in that office. His big thing is we need to hold oil and gas industry accountable. He helped to raise the taxes to generate tens of millions of more for our public education. So he's a great candidate. I've got some signature. So if you find me afterward, what I'm also going to do, so you don't have to find me to sign it, is I'm going to put the sheets, they each have their separate clipboard, put those on a table at the front with the literature. So you'll see one for Harold Pope for lieutenant governor, and the other one is for Matthew McQueen for land commission. So if you get the opportunity, if you're a registered Democrat, please stop by. These are such important signatures. We see other candidates. Give them some love who are here today. Let's get some Democrats elected. Thank you all.
Thank you, Anna. I think I had Sonya next. Did I? Okay, I can't remember. Okay, Sonya, you come on up.
Thank you. Okay, so that really is me. I had black hair when I started this, and now it's gray. So, but anyway, good evening, everybody. My name is Sonya Smith, and I'm a candidate for Secretary of State. If you would just indulge me just for a moment, I just want to do a pulse check. I did this with my staff this morning because there's so much going on in the world. I'm not going to take a long time. But what we see here is that no one is exempt. No one is exempt. And my heart is going out to everyone who is suffering. But I have to say, seeing what happened to Alex, someone who has dedicated his life to helping veterans, and I am a veteran, that I had a visceral response to it. So I just wanted to make sure that we remember to say their names. Say their names so that we don't forget them. Anyway, let's get on to what we need to talk about tonight. So again, Sonya Smith, I'm a former cabinet secretary for Veteran Services. I had a chance to be here right after I launched my campaign early summer. And you all were really nice to me, and I really appreciated that because you're a tough crowd, you know, to get in front of, especially when you're talking about something as serious as the Secretary of State's office. And it's like the nerve. You're going to really try to run for this position and really try to help us here? Yes, I am. And I'm going to tell you how. Because the Secretary of State's office is critical. And what we see now, especially now, is this fight has come to our state. Our elections have been challenged, saying that they're corrupt, and we know that's a bunch of malarkey. I'm trying to do better with my cursing. It's a bunch of malarkey, right? But we also know that we have to pay attention to what's going on here. So let's talk about it a little bit. I wanted to point out a few things. So I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV, but there's a lawyer right there who will correct me if I'm wrong. So the Supreme Court heard a hearing recently, Louisiana versus Calais. What this essentially means is that our representation regarding redistricting is being challenged. And if the Supreme Court decides to rule in favor, it's really going to impact us here in New Mexico because sometimes these things have a ripple effect. I say that probably won't happen here because we know how to fight for our rights here. And we know how to put the right people in place to fight for our rights here. That deserves a clap. I mean, come, okay, all right, just saying. All right, so what we want to do is make sure that we don't do whatever it takes to weaken the power of our vote here. The second thing is, this one, I think, kind of caught us off guard a little bit. We have a tabulator here for our ballots that was owned by a company called Dominion. They sold recently to a company called Liberty. Liberty, and you can do your own research on this, leans very heavily right, okay? And what happens is, word got out on the street, and there was a lot of misinformation and disinformation. As your next Secretary of State, I will be completely transparent with you when those types of things happen, because you have to know what happens. Now, there was a couple of little hiccups that they're saying that may or may not have been related to this transition of tabulation in Valencia County, I believe in Chavez County. But our current Secretary of State jumped on it and took care of it. Second thing is, another thing that has kind of slipped between the radar. The U.S. Postal Service, now follow me on this, has changed the way they're doing postmarks now. Why is this important? Because we are a rural state. And we believe in mail-in ballots here. I support mail-in ballots, not just because I'm a veteran and understand the military connection, but there are a lot of reasons why people use mail-in ballots. And that's because for various reasons. So what is going to happen now is you have asked for a certified mail to make sure that your ballot gets in. And to me, that could be very cost prohibitive for some people. So this is just another way to disenfranchise. Who said what? What? Yes, exactly. Exactly. This is just another way. Or you have to go physically into the post office and ask for a stamp now. This is very problematic. As your next Secretary of State, we're going to make sure that every voter understands what this means, and we're going to be proactive and not reactive. The last thing I want to, thank you, y'all can clap for that, okay. The last thing I want to say is this ongoing conversation regarding the selling of our voter data, okay? What this boils down to is your privacy. Our current Secretary of State is doing the right thing. She has given what is allowable. Anything else, you have to give consent, okay? I work in compliance. I work in privacy. I understand how this goes. And what we don't want is to have this impact your privacy, okay? Now, the U.S. Constitution, you back me up on this, Sam. You're the lawyer in the room. Back me up on this. The U.S. Constitution, by statute, does not dictate what goes on with state elections. The state still is in charge, right? Okay. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep it there. Next slide. I'm wrapping up. Raylan. Raylan's like, come on, girl. Okay. All right. So here's my experience. Crisis tested. Air Force combat medic. Okay. All right. I'm the former cabinet secretary for Veteran Services. The governor recruited me from my private position to go and work on the COVID executive team. If y'all remember, that was a very tough time for our state. Next thing, I managed 19 offices. I went to all 33 counties to check on our veterans to make sure, number one, they were getting the benefits that they earned. Who are the veterans in the house? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And I also like to recognize the families too, because we don't serve alone. So thank you, families, for helping us. Okay? I believe in fairness and access. I talked already about being transparent. Communicate clearly and lead with integrity. That is so important in these times. You want someone who knows how to communicate. You want someone who says, you know what, yeah, I messed that up, but I'm going to fix it. Because you know why? You're going to hold me accountable as your Secretary of State. All right, service-driven. I don't know nothing else to do except to serve. I don't know what else to do. So it's not just the next normal step for me. I studied this. I wanted to know where I could use my skills to help. This is why this role is important to me. Next slide. Okay, so again, I've already talked about some of these things. Protecting voter data, real-time transparency. I'm looking at having a dashboard where you can see real-time what's going on. I want to put in place a rapid response team. I want to work closer with the county clerks. I've spent a lot of time talking to the county clerks around the state. They're looking for a leader who is going to help them, who is going to make sure they have the tools and support and empowerment to do what it is that they need to do. And I want to work proactively with our legislatures. Again, being a cabinet member, I had a chance to not only work with our congressional delegation, but also with our state representatives. And I'm not going to lie to you, there were times when we didn't agree, but we always worked collegially because we knew what we needed to do to make sure our veterans and their families were taken care of. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about the Secretary of State's office is impartiality. This office is for everyone. It is not lost on anyone that I am a registered Democrat. But regardless of that, the Secretary of State's office is for everyone. And as we said, in the military, it was all about the red, white, and blue. Remember that? It's about taking care of each other. All right, I think that's about it before I get the hook. You need to push that up a little bit because they need to see. Yes, okay, here's how you can help. I'm here collecting signatures to get on the ballot. I'm not asking for an endorsement. I'm just asking for a fair shot. Please help me get on the ballot. I want to earn your vote. That's what we do. We earn votes. So please go to my website, check me out, call me if you have a question. I'm here to answer the hard questions, and what I don't know, I will tell you. Give me a chance to find out. But please, everybody should have their phone out right now and scanning this. If you haven't signed, my petition, but please check me out. Thank you so much for your time.
One quick question.
Please explain the rules behind signing petitions for candidates for the same office.
That's really helpful. So there's a methodology for why signatures are collected, and it's based on the previous election. Typically, I believe it's the governor's election. And what it means is it's supposed to give you a representation of everybody who wants to run for office. So it's supposed to be a democratic process. That's what it boils down to. Now, why? I actually think I really enjoy it because that tells me that 2,500 people think that I'm good enough to get on the ballot. And that means that 2,500 people also think Catherine and Amanda are good enough to get on the ballot. And to me, it creates a fair process. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question about that. Okay? Okay.
No, I think what Bob's getting at is if you have already signed a petition for a candidate for Secretary of State, like Amanda Lopez Askin or Catherine Clark up in Santa Fe, you cannot sign Sonya's, and if you double sign for that race, both signatures will be invalidated and taken off the count. I think that's what Bob was after.
But you can do something about that because that's in statute. You can do something about that. You can talk to your state legislatures and tell them how you feel about it. Thank you.
Sonya, thank you. This is my sister Smith here. Thank you. Alex, I think you're next, and then D.A. Bregman, you're after that.
Thank you, Ray Ellen. Right on. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Alexandria Piland. I'm a mom. I'm a daughter. I'm a retired teacher. I am a former small business owner. I am the former two-term president of the Sandoval County Federation of Democratic Women. I'm the former two-term president of the Democratic Party of Sandoval County. And like Ray Ellen, I am a proud graduate of Emerge Class 2019. And I'm running for mayor of Rio Rancho. Oh, you've heard of it. Great, great. I'm creating quite a buzz up there because not only do I have all of my history behind me, but they also know what I believe in. They also know that I'm pro-choice, pro-LGBTQIA+, I'm pro-environment, I'm pro-people. And that's why I'm running. Because the people of Rio Rancho need to have a choice between the same old thing that wasn't working for them or wasn't working for everybody and the future that can. I got to tell you, I came to this race late. I did not have running for mayor in 2026 on my bingo card. But here we are. Here I am. I thought I was retiring from being a political activist, but here we are, right? Why? Because leadership means standing up when it's necessary, when it's needed, right? Thank you. Right. So you all know Rio Rancho is a nice little bedroom community just north and west of Albuquerque, right? And did you all know that it's the fastest growing city in the state of New Mexico? Yeah? Okay, you knew that? You knew that? All right. Did you know that we have surpassed Las Cruces for the second largest city in the state? Yeah? Okay. All right. Some people didn't know that. Cool. All right. See, I'm still an educator. How about that? Did you know that they're planning a missile site in the western part of Rio Rancho? Exactly. That's exactly it. Because what happens in Rio Rancho doesn't stay in Rio Rancho. It doesn't, right? Our communities are amorphous, right? So if something happens out there, you guys are going to feel it too, right? If we use too much water because of unplanned growth in Rio Rancho, is Albuquerque going to suffer too? Yeah, right? Exactly. If there's some sort of accident out at that missile site, are you going to feel it too? Right? Right? If we get some chemicals in our aquifer or effluvium up in the air, Albuquerque feels it too, right? I understand from looking into this is a done deal. It's going to happen. They've broken ground. They've gone out there. They've taken pictures with shovels and ribbons and smiley faces. It's okay. That's cool. Whatever. But I want to make sure that there's oversight, intensive oversight. We need to monitor that site, and we need to collect data, and we need to review the data, and we need to talk to environmentalists and make sure that it's safe for everybody. Thank you. If they don't want us on their property doing this because it's, a defense issue, because that's why we can't IPRA anything, right? It's a defense issue. Then we get as close as we can and monitor it. And we publish the information and we let the community know what's happening, right? We include the community. The constituency in Rio Rancho, the citizens of Rio Rancho were not asked about this decision. It was snuck in. It was snuck in by the county commission, okay? So I have plans. I have oversight plans. I have ideas, not to fix it, but to make sure we're as safe as we can be. But I can't do it if I'm not mayor. So I need your help, okay? I know you can't vote for me. Many of you don't live in Rio. Does anybody here live in Rio Rancho? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, there's a couple. They came with me. So they came with me. All right, thank you. It's nice. All right, so what I still need your help. Do you know anybody who lives? Hi, Michelle. Do you know anybody who lives in Rio Rancho? Yeah. Do you have friends and family in Rio Rancho? Please talk to them. Tell them, Alexandria Piland. Alexandria, like the library, right? Yeah, right? Tell them about me. Tell them what I stand for. Tell them my values. And tell them they're good, strong, democratic values and that Rio Rancho needs to have something different, right? We need to make the city a visionary. Absolutely, absolutely. So I could use your help with canvassing. You can come up to Rio Rancho and canvass. We would love to have you. I need your help with phone banking. You can phone bank from your own home. We can get you tuned in, set up with Vote Builder. You can call right in. Your phone number is masked. You can make those phone calls for me. That would be wonderful. You can do whatever it is you can do. Talk to people, like I said. Repost my social media, right? Repost it. Share it with everybody because it'll spread the reach. And of course, donate. Yeah, Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, you knew that was coming, right? And anything that you can help me with, anything, I'm serious, $5, $10, whatever it is, we will happily take it, and it will help, because it is an uphill battle. This is a 60-day election. We declare our candidacy on January 6th, right? I got my campaign team together right before New Year's, all right? So this has been a whirlwind. So we declared candidacy on January 6th. Early voting starts February 3rd. Yeah, I said that. February 3rd, because it's in Rio Rancho, and we're going to fix this too, by the way. Expanded early voting is February 14th, and Election Day is March 3rd. And that's it. And it's a nonpartisan election. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Right? Thank you. These days, nothing's nonpartisan. So, see, that was a double negative, Michelle. Yeah. So, I want to give a shout out real quick. I want to thank Ray Ellen for the time to address you beautiful, wonderful people. And I want to give my campaign staff a shout out. The man filming me right now with his cell phone, that's Chewy Inoho, and he is the media director. My campaign manager, Cynthia Ariano, is right there. Thank you. And of course, the real hub of the team, Kathy Knox, the volunteer coordinator. So, if you'd like to donate to Elect Alexandria, and that's who you make a check out to, by the way, you can give Kathy, connect with Kathy, and she'll help you do that. And she can get you hooked up with any of the other things I talked about, phone banking, canvassing, and the social media thing. You're kind of on your own, so thank you. And again, my name is Alexandria Piland, and I'm running to be the next mayor, the first Latina mayor, who will put a woman majority in the Rio Rancho City Council. Alexandria.
A doctor, a teacher. We got everything going on. Mr. Bregman, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you so much to everyone. I am really pleased and honored to be in front of all of y'all. It means a lot. This is what democracy is all about. You exemplify what democracy is all about. I will tell you, many of you know me as the district attorney. I have spent my entire adult life standing up for the little guy, standing up for human rights, standing up for civil rights, standing up for those who are injured, those who are wrongfully terminated, those who are wrongfully accused. Thank you. I've done that because I've always been kind of a rule of law kind of guy. I got the opportunity and the chance. My father was a lawyer. I got the chance to be a lawyer. And the chance to be a lawyer means that you get the opportunity to stand up for things like the Constitution. And I will tell you something. If we don't stand up for the Constitution, and I know so many of you do every day, certainly every Tuesday. I see you right outside my office. I'm proud of each and every one of you that exercises your First Amendment right. But right now in this time, in this country, and in this state, we better damn sure stand up for the Constitution. It is such a core value, and it is amazing how things work out. Yes, I'm the district attorney. Yes, I'm running for governor. But I can promise you, each and every one of you right now, that regardless of whether or not I'm running for governor as district attorney, that letter would be sent off to ICE that I did last week every single day. And that letter was very specific. That letter was, you don't get to pull over somebody because they're brown. You don't get to pull someone over because of their accent. You only get to pull someone over if you have a warrant, if you have reasonable suspicion, or if you have probable cause. Am I right? And if you do not have those things, and I'm dead serious about this, I'm as serious as the day is long. If you do not have those things, because no one is above the law, if you do not have those things, I will absolutely prosecute you for a felony, a false imprisonment. I don't care if you have a gun. I don't care if you have a badge. We're going to hold people accountable under the rule of law. It is one of my core values. So I now turn to the politics side of this in one way. The next governor of this state, the one that you all, the people, are going to pick, is going to come out of the Democratic primary. The question is, who is best to defend each and every one of you when it comes to your constitutional rights and push back every day and push back hard on Donald Trump? That's me. That's what I'm suggesting to you. Because if we don't check him, I feel like what we just saw up in Minnesota in the last week or so, when I sent that letter off to ICE before this second shooting, it's horrific. And many of you I know are eternalizing it just like I am. This isn't the country I grew up in. This isn't the country where the rule of law and the Constitution is thrown out the effing window. This is our time now. This is our time. And I'm going to look back. I have 4 grandchildren from 3 years old and younger. I have 3 adult children. And I'm going to look back 25 years from now. And I'm going to ask myself the question, did I stand up for this country's values? Did I truly make a difference and have my voice heard? Did I take my unbelievable opportunity of being a leader as the district attorney and possibly your next governor? Did I really take advantage of that and remind all of us what this country is about? It's not about racial profiling. It's not about kicking down doors without a warrant. It's not about any of those things. It's about the rule of law. And guess what? The Fourth Amendment for a prosecutor is hard. For law enforcement, it's hard. You got to do things before you can do things to people. But that's freedom. That's what freedom is all about. And the second we start thinking it's okay to bypass it, it's okay to normalize it, it's okay to shoot people and execute them, the second we accept that as a state, as a country, we are going down the wrong path, and it's something that I will not ever accept. And I can promise you 25 years from now, I'll be damn proud of my effort to stand up to bullies and stand up to Donald Trump. So I don't know how much time I had. Was told I had 30 minutes, but I'm going to keep going for a little bit, if is that all right? Are you standing here because you want me to stop?
We can give you 15 because we do have another.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Let me
Take 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes, and it's good. Because no, that's fine. And I'm thrilled to ask any and all questions. I will tell you something, though. As passionate as I am, and you're going to see this in this campaign for the next 4 months, this is a sprint to the primary, right? As passionate as I am about standing up for Donald Trump, I know. What's that? What did I say? As passionate as I am for standing up against Donald Trump, as passionate as I am about standing up against Donald Trump, we just can't stand up against him We have to actually stand for something right here. And your next governor, we need to fix crime right here. We need to fix education right here. We have such a fragile healthcare system that needs to be fixed right here. We have an economic development and opportunity into the future that we have got to get right. Too many of you know, because your kids and your grandkids don't have the opportunity that they should to stay right here in New Mexico. I know that. I've lived that in some ways. And I really truly believe that we have to have strong leadership. We have to work with everybody, regardless of your politics for just a second. Regardless, we have to bring civility back to this politics that we all have. We have to be able to work with everybody to get things done. We have to have a governor who is going to get things done. I sincerely believe that we have so much opportunity for this state. Forefront when it comes to the next future economy, if you will. We can do these things. I am someone who wants to see New Mexico grow. I'm someone who wants to fix crime, and respectfully to anybody and everybody here. There are very few people, and I don't know of one, that knows more about the crime problem right now in New Mexico than I do. I'm not only the district attorney for the state's largest county in population, but I'm also the chairman of the Organized Crime Commission. And let me tell you right real quick, and I know I'm running out of time. Let me just say this. Susana Martinez destroyed behavior health decades ago. We all know that. So I can only tell you that in the criminal justice system, but also overall in our society and in our state, we have to fix this. We have to have a coordinated effort when it comes to mental health, behavior health, addiction recovery. Too many people are suffering. I see it in the criminal justice system. You see it on the streets every day. We have to have a real-time dashboard at the Department of Health. Any one of you tell me right now if you know exactly which website to go to. If your 17-year-old comes to the breakfast table and says, "Mom, Dad, I'm addicted to drugs. I need help." Where are you going to jump on that opportunity right then to get them the help that day so they don't go out and find the next pill to smoke? Where are you going to do that right now? We don't have a real-time dashboard. You can't get anywhere, and this I'm talking statewide. You don't have the opportunity to find out where there's a bed that takes Medicaid, where there's a bed that takes private insurance, or where there's a bed doesn't have to take anything. They'll just get you the help. And when a social worker shows up in Albuquerque at a homeless encampment and they're talking to folks and someone actually says, "You know what? I'm ready to get help. I'm ready to get help." That social worker should have an iPad or whatever electronic device and be able to identify where that bed is, whether it's 2 blocks away or 4 blocks away the other direction, whether or not it's in Española or Las Cruces, Rio Rancho or Santa Fe. We need to have a coordinated effort. Behavior health is a crime problem. It's a societal problem that we all have to live up to and take care of. We have to spend the resources to do it. There is no other way that we're going to get a hold and get New Mexico where we want to be unless we talk and take care of the most unfortunate folks who are having the toughest times right now. Let me just say one last thing, and then I'll answer questions if you have a couple. One last thing. So individually, I know that we are all, as when it comes to salaries, when it comes to wages, New Mexico isn't a place that has a lot of wealth. Contrary. But as far as a state is concerned, we're a rich state. And don't let anybody tell you we're not a rich state. We have $65 billion in wealth funds. We are the second largest wealth fund in this country. And we better make sure, and I'm not talking about raiding the Treasury, but I am talking about this. No New Mexican. No New Mexican should be allowed to slip through the cracks. They should not be allowed to slip through the cracks, whether it's health care or whether or not it's the kind of education you're getting based on the zip code you live in. That's BS. Whether or not it's fighting crime in a way that's really going to make a difference for all the community, whether or not it's just providing economic opportunity and the lives that we all aspire to. Nobody should fall through the cracks. And I can tell you, as your next governor, I'm going to get up every single morning and work my ass off to make sure nobody does slip through the cracks. Thank you all very, very much.
I have 2 questions. Okay, I have 2 questions, one from a member and one from me, and I'm going to ask you mine first, and it's kind of a DA question instead of a governor question. So first of all, thank you for that letter that you sent to ICE. That is really, really important, and I'm very grateful. We're all very grateful. I have a process question about that. So let's say... Oh, yeah, sorry, but I should have warned about the rug. I trip on it all the time. Let's say we're in a situation here in Albuquerque where we have something happen like what happened over the past weekend. And APD is not working with ICE, thank the gods. And Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department is not directly working with ICE. I've talked to both of those leaders, and they've assured me of that. I'm sure you know that. The federal government isn't letting anybody else investigate. So let's say something like that happens. Who investigates so that you can prosecute?
So we have absolute jurisdiction over crimes committed in the county of Bernalillo. I will tell you that we are already preparing for, God forbid, something awful happen or whatever it might be. We are already preparing and ready to go type briefs so we can go into federal court as fast as possible. We're working and getting the information we need from the Minnesota Attorney General up there, and we've already reached out. We're going to continue to do that so that we have a plan and a process to get that done. And I want you to know this, though. I am hearing from people since I sent that letter off of real life experiences, and nothing I can prove yet, and I take that very seriously too. I have to have the evidence to prove something beyond a reasonable doubt before I'm going to charge somebody. But I will tell you, I'm hearing about young women, maybe in the age of their mid-20s, driving down the road, getting pulled over by themselves in a car on I-40, getting pulled over with someone with a mask on who walks up, goes to the side door and goes, "Let me see your driver's license." The person goes, "What did I do wrong? Here's my driver's license." "Oh, it's just a citizenship check." They're just checking the citizenship. That, by the way, if that happens and I can prove it and I can identify the person, of course they're wearing a mask, is a felony because it's false imprisonment. No probable cause, no reasonable suspicion, no warrant. This is real stuff going on right now. And I will also tell you, she was let go. She happened to have her birth certificate in the car. So she was let go. But here's the deal. She doesn't really know whether or not he was an ICE agent. She just gave over a driver's license with her home address to some complete stranger who never showed the face. This is scary stuff. And we're going to hold people accountable. And I want people to feel free to contact my office if you have absolute evidence or whatever might be going on. I want to hear about it. My office wants to hear about it. I will tell you, I have 115 lawyers in my office. I don't know one of them that doesn't agree with 100% of what I'm saying. They're all prosecutors, but they understand the rule of law and the value and the sanctity of the United States Constitution.
Thank you. That is outstanding to know. Outstanding to know. This question is more about your campaign, and it came from a member. There was an article and I haven't read this, in the Santa Fe New Mexican that mentions a contribution you received from Johnny Trotter, who owns Ruidoso. Somebody copied this, so I apologize, I'm reading. Ruidoso Downs, and has contributed tens of thousands of dollars to Republicans, including President Donald Trump, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, and former Governor Susana Martinez. Trotter's wife, Jana, contributed an additional $10,000. Why do you accept such contributions from MAGA supporters?
Thank you for the question. Let's just first agree on something. Money in politics has gotten out of control. And I got to tell you, I got to play by the rules like everybody else. And this whole thing of money, you think I like calling people up and asking for money? You think by the way, you also think I control everybody that gives me? No. But here's the important part. You mentioned Kristi Noem, that apparently one of my contributors has given to Kristi Noem. I don't know if you all follow my social media, but today we posted a post supporting our congressional delegation on her impeachment, right? And let's be clear. I mean, I think anybody that knows me knows a little bit about me. I don't need this job. I want this job because I want to do good for the people of New Mexico. And if anybody thinks that it's going to have any effect on whether or not someone gives me a check, and you can all look at me and maybe him and haw based on politicians of the past, but know that my integrity is more than winning or losing this thing. It's more important to me than any of that. So, yes, I've got to ask money. But here's the fun part about some of this. Some of these folks who have given in the past to people like Donald Trump have actually said they're so disgusted, I want to support you. So I'm very excited about the fact. And look, the more we bring in, the more people we bring in to this big tent of the Democratic Party. And I'm a big tent guy about the Democratic Party. Many of you know I was the former state chair. I was a precinct chair when I was 18 years old. I was Mondale's student state director at UNM back in the day. This party means so much to me. But we have, I think, all have to come together and recognize the threat to democracy, recognize the fact that we are really living in the times that demands us all to really bond together. Bond together. You're not going to agree with everything I say, by the way. You're not going to agree with everything I stand for. I accept that. That's a democracy. But I will tell you one thing. You'll know where I stand. I have 189 pages, and I know some of you are going to have trouble falling asleep tonight. Feel free to read that. You'll fall asleep right away. But I have 189 pages of policy dealing with 14 different policies. Each of you deserve to know where I stand on the issues, because that's what democracy is about before you vote for your next governor. At the same token, though, you deserve to know what my opponent stands for. And we need to have debates, don't we? We need to have debates, right? Some of you give me a lukewarm applause on that. I thought that was really what we are. Right? That's what our party's about. Let's lay it all out in the line. You're not going to agree with me on everything, but I think you agree with me on a lot of things. I know you do. And let's stand up for this country. Let's stand up for this state, and let's get something done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. District Attorney Sam Bregman, running for governor. Thank you so much. Thank you to our speakers. You're welcome to stay. You're welcome to take a seat in another direction. Very grateful to all of you. Angela, just so grateful for you coming tonight.
I get to be last. This is awesome. Yeah. I'm going to sing a song. Forget this, right? Thank you so much for having me this evening. I really appreciate the energy in this room and all of you who give your time to take care of people. That's really meaningful to me. My name is Dr. Angela Sanchez, and I am a proud family practice physician. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm the president-elect of the New Mexico Medical Society. I'm not running for anything tonight, so I have notes. I know that this group is very well educated on some of the history and the legislative efforts that kind of put us in the space where we are. And so I'm not going to backtrack there. I'd like to talk a little bit, though, about the wish list for physicians and for patients, and what's coming up in the legislature. I'm going to focus on one big bill. Not that one big bill, goodness. I just said that in this room. I have a slide deck running behind me. I'm going to actually move past that because your time is really precious, and I want to make sure that I get to the content. So it's there. I sent it. If you want to look through those slides, there's a lot of good data in there, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. So I want to recap quickly. Patients are leaving New Mexico, or physicians are leaving New Mexico. We have a cyclic access crisis. So patients can't get in to see a provider, and they get sicker. And while they wait, they have a higher risk for a poor medical outcome. Then they get in to see a provider, but that doesn't mean that they'll get back in for follow-up. It also doesn't mean that they're going to have better access to specialists. So they wait again, and they get sicker. And sometimes they give up. They just quit going to the doctor because they don't know what to do. And sometimes they go to the emergency room to get care. This situation's untenable for patients, and it's untenable for physicians. Unfortunately, physicians are leaving in droves. I was the primary care medical director for one of the large hospital systems in Albuquerque. I worked as a primary care physician in this town for 17 years. I estimate that I recruited and lost 50 primary care providers in a 10-year period. In the last 9 months that I was taking care of patients, I was by myself in a hallway with 20 exam rooms. I was the only one there. We could not keep the seat next to me filled, and I don't think I'm unpleasant. So it's real, and I know that all of you, we don't need to keep singing the same song, but I know that all of you have experienced loss of providers. You've experienced showing up to see a provider, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, she quit." Or you were scheduled to see provider B, but you're going to see provider D because provider B, C, and D have all left. So this is real, and it's a bipartisan issue. It's really important. So patients can't get access, they're sicker, and we have an out-of-balance medical malpractice platform, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. New Mexico has had staggering increases in the number of medical malpractice lawsuits since 2021, when legislation had some unintended consequences. I really don't think it was what they intended, but it's what happened. Since that time, New Mexico's actually number 2 in the country in the number of medical malpractice cases that are filed in the state per capita. So only Pennsylvania has more malpractice cases per year than we do. In addition to that, 92% of those cases have punitive damages filed at the beginning of the case, so before it's been determined if there's malpractice. Successful punitive damages are actually rare. So punitive damages are awarded in lawsuits to punish a defendant for malicious, harmful, reckless actions, really criminal actions, like your general surgeon drinks, 6 beers before showing up to do the surgery. That's reckless. And those kinds of things are rare. Most malpractice claims do not warrant punitive damages. However, in New Mexico, they're filed 92% of the time. And that makes us an outlier. And that's why there's only 2 companies in the state of New Mexico that will grant malpractice insurance. 2 companies. So the threat of punitive damages up front means that cases settle quickly, whether there was malpractice or not. Punitive damages are never covered by medical malpractice insurance. And those malpractice insurance rates rise because of the settlements. So punitive damages filed 92% of the time lead to cases settling, which leads to a rise in the medical malpractice rates. So we're out of balance. It creates a lot of fear in good physicians who can't decide whether they want to stay here to practice. And I'm sad to say that I stopped seeing patients 2 years ago for this reason. I've never been sued, but it was just really frightening to see super sick patients in front of me day after day, who I couldn't get care for them. I couldn't get that specialty care for them. And primary care physicians are taking care of things that they shouldn't be seeing because there's no specialists. Psychiatry patients, schizophrenia without treatment showing up in the primary care office, and we have to do something, but we live in this litigious environment. It's really frightening, especially on the tail end of the pandemic, after what patients and physicians have already been through. So, in 2025, there were broad bipartisan efforts to better understand how we got here. These conversations included the governor, trial lawyers, the medical society, the hospital association, and the superintendent of insurance. So since December 29th, there have been 5 meetings of a broad group of people that I just named. And, really they've come together to come up with a bill. So as you saw, there are many bills, and you can go to the New Mexico legislative site and see all of the things that are out there, but I'm going to focus on one this evening. So House Bill 99 was introduced last week by Chris Chandler, who is the chairwoman of the House Judiciary Committee out of Los Alamos. Representative Chandler is a Democrat and a lawyer. She has not traditionally been in favor of medical malpractice reform, but she says herself that she started listening to all of this, and everybody's got a side, and everybody has, the newspapers right now, you can't even get through it all. So she spent all of last year reading, doing her own studying. She didn't take a dime from anyone, not the trial lawyers, not the doctors, not the patients, but she studied it, and ultimately she put out a bill that a lot of people think is a workable set of solutions that will be meaningful for malpractice and ultimately result in you having access to timely, safe, high-quality medical care. So here it goes. This is House Bill 99. Again, bipartisan. Number 1, the bill defines medical malpractice and defines occurrences in medical malpractice in legal terms. So an occurrence is basically an event, not a series of events that end up in a bad outcome. It's one event. And that matters because the plaintiff's attorney will file lawsuits for every single step. The Patient Compensation Fund, which if this group is interested, I have experts who can come back and talk about this. But the Patient Compensation Fund is the way that future medical expenses get funded when people file medical malpractice. So lump sum payments from the Patient Compensation Fund are going to be removed if this act is successful. Those lump sums basically make it so that patients may run out of money if their future care plan doesn't actually define how much money it's going to take for them to be whole. The other thing is the plaintiff's attorneys take their percentage off the top of that lump sum, and we think that that's not fair. Number 3 is that the settlements for future medical expenses that come out of the PCF should be based on the amount that's actually paid and not what's billed. So we've all looked at those explanation of benefits and gone, how did I get charged $10,000 for this? But my insurance paid $200. So that's the billed versus expected amount. So we want the damages to be capped in what will actually be paid for, because if the compensatory amount is bigger, it just means the plaintiff's attorneys are getting a bigger chunk and not the patients. The bill seeks to keep the hospitals in the Patient Compensation Fund through 2030. Now, the governor would like to see the hospitals stay in the Patient Compensation Fund in perpetuity, but there's some disagreement about that. So Representative Chandler has asked that we have an actuarial study to figure out how much the hospitals should pay to be in the fund, and also how long can the fund be solvent if the hospitals are engaged. So there would be further conversation about that if she gets her way in House Bill 99. And the last is about punitive damages. Punitive damages are uncapped in New Mexico. That's why you hear about these so-called nuclear verdicts. Over $25 million is a nuclear verdict. There were 25 nuclear verdicts in the U.S. last year. Guess how many were in New Mexico? 6. 6 out of 25 in this state. So we don't have caps, and people take advantage of that. So the proposal is that the cap would be the same as the compensatory caps. So in other words, when a malpractice case when a doctor is found to be guilty of malpractice, they can be sued for up to $1 million. Hospitals can be sued for up to $6 million. And then with this cap, the punitive damages, if they're filed, would match those amounts, $1 million and $6 million. So we think that's fair. Number 2, the language around filing punitive damages is very weak. So it doesn't have a good definition about what it means to really commit a crime in taking care of a patient. Like I said, it's reckless and wanton and intentional harm. And so they're recommending a change in the language to require the words clear and convincing. So there has to be clear and convincing evidence that the doctor acted with malice. And then the third, which I think is the most important, and I'm not an attorney, so if there's one in the audience still after Sam left, it requires a motion for leave of the court in order to plead punitive damages. So in other words, you can't file punitive damages with every single medical malpractice case. You have to prove clear and convincing evidence to the court that there's actually grounds for those punitive charges. So those are the things that are in House Bill 99. There are others. There's actually a Republican bill as well that has a lot of the same elements. She caps, I think, at 3 times the compensatory number, and she has some other elements. She's actually capping the trial lawyers' percentages. So that's another House bill. It's under Jones. I'm not sure what that number is, but that one's out there too. So we are really hopeful that meaningful medical malpractice reform will help us to continue to protect New Mexicans who get hurt by bad doctors. We don't want to take those things away. But we also want to provide balance for the other 99% of doctors who are doing a heck of a job taking care of New Mexicans. So, thank you. The last slide in that deck, so Patient-Led New Mexico is a nonprofit patient organization that we've utilized to get the word out. So you'll see it on Facebook and in the social media sites. There's some print media. Patient-Led New Mexico, if you go to the website, what you see is patients. This is not about the physicians. It's about taking care of patients. And so there's information there about how to reach your legislators. White Coat Day is Wednesday in Santa Fe. And so there will be a lot of people up there really, really on your behalf to try to see if we can get this fixed. I will tell you Friday is I forget the name of the organization. It's the one that I would not support, but Sam does. Patients Over Profit Day is Friday at Safety Over Profits, pardon me. Safety Over Profits Day is Friday in Santa Fe, and guess when House Bill 99 is being sent to committee? Friday. Not a coincidence. Not a coincidence. So I thank you for listening. Does anybody have any questions?
So we've got one mic tonight. If you have a question, please come up this side or that side, and I'll run as fast as I can.
I'm sorry if I missed this, but I'm Richard Barish. Have the trial lawyers taken a position on House Bill 99 or any of these bills? In other words, will it get through Senate Judiciary?
I've got one mic.
So there are 3 prominent trial attorneys who were part of of this group that put together House Bill 99. They haven't really said much about the punitive damages piece, and you'll notice that everybody's super excited and patting each other on the back about the compacts, which are just awesome, and all the other things. But when it comes to this, it's going to die in committee, and we'll have to go to special session probably. I hope not, but that does give us some flexibility too. That I'm not going to lose hope.
I understand that in 2021, when the last agreement was worked out, that one of the things that also was taken away was the review process, that hospitals and corporate entities were exempted. There's a review process that you can go through first before you go to trial. And that was removed in 2021, as I understand it. And I talked to a trial lawyer about it who said they did want that removed. And I read House Bill 99 today, and it looks like, maybe I should just ask, how does it address peer review processes before something goes to trial? Is that still an option?
The peer review process is still in place. So it is 3 plaintiffs' attorneys and 3 physicians. That's supplied by the New Mexico Medical Review Board. And so that process is still in place. I wonder if there might have been something on the hospital side, which I'm less familiar with. The problem is that the review board doesn't actually give you, you can win in the review board, and they say there's absolutely no reason for claim here, and you can still get sued and still get held for punitive damages. So I'm sorry I can't answer the question better, but I can find someone who can. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Sometime in recent weeks, there was an article in the Albuquerque Journal where they stated that something like 50% of malpractice claims were attributed to 2% of the providers. That seemed to me like an opportunity where there would be some kind of actions taken way earlier before somebody becomes, as a provider, a frequent flyer. Is there anything in the works to actually administratively catch these sooner and put their license in jeopardy sooner?
I think we probably all saw that story, and I do think that there's efforts from the medical board to take a better look at that. The physician that they mentioned in that article no longer has a license, but you're right, there are a lot of claims, and somebody needs to explain why it was allowed to go so far.
Hi, Dr. Sanchez. I was curious, what is the best way for us to help you before Friday? Like, is there somebody we should call specifically? How should we represent it on our Facebook or whatever? Okay.
This is a list of the committee members from the Health and Human Services Committee who will be hearing our bill. Just so you know, I just think it's so unlikely that it's going to go anywhere. It'll go straight down party lines, and it's unfortunate because it's the Democrats that are going to vote these bills down. I'll give it to you. There we go. Thank you. So Eleanor Chavez, Pamela Herndon, and Mariana Naya all sit on Health and Human Services, who will see that bill Friday.
Yes. Let me just make. So I got some late wind today, which is why this slide is so kind of wacky. I actually wrote it in the car. There's a House Caucus Committee meeting tomorrow. And some folks working on HB 99 reached out and said, can you have people tonight call these representatives and ask them to please vote for HB 99. So it'll come up in a House caucus meeting tomorrow. The vote will be on Friday, but let's get your phones out. I don't see enough phones out right now. Okay. Take a picture, call them, especially the House reps at the top. The senators aren't hearing it yet, but it'll come before the Senate, assuming it gets through the House. But we need to call Eleanor Chavez, Pamela Herndon, Mariana Anaya. Now, you guys have all you were in this room when Mariana Anaya, who used to work as a lobbyist for Safety Over Profits, and she said she is never going to vote to put caps on punitive damages. So you heard her say that here. I don't have a lot of hope about calling her, but please do it anyway. So yeah, everybody got the picture with these phone numbers? This is your assignment before you go to bed tonight. Leave a voicemail. Reach out. This is important stuff. Another representative that was on this list was Kathleen Cates, who is a Sandoval County rep, and I sent this same message over to Bert Cox at Sandoval County Indivisible, so he's mobilizing for that. So this one's our assignment. Let's get this done.
Thank you.
Any more questions tonight? You guys, one more. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can give you my notes.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get those out in the newsletter. Thank you very much, Dr. Sanchez. This is important stuff we're working on. You heard from some great candidates tonight. I think some may still be outside asking for volunteers, getting signatures. This is what we do. We're fired up and we're ready to go, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.